Hey, how's it going, Captains? Admiral Hattori here, and welcome aboard for another World of Warships video on my channel. In today's video, I will be taking a look at the Tier 9 Premium Dutch Destroyer, Friesland. So I had 1 million free XP, and I had the choice between the Tier 9 Premium German Battlecruiser Aegir and the Friesland, which is the one I'm featuring in this video. And you guessed it, I picked the Friesland. I actually prefer the Aegir, but I decided to get the Friesland because it was unique, and I don't really play destroyers, so I don't really have that many high tier destroyers. My only tier 10 destroyers I have at the moment is the Z52 and the Gearing, with a few Japanese destroyers that are very close to tier 10. So I already knew about the Friesland. I actually wanted the Friesland when it was first released. I was considering spending money on it, but decided to hold off on that. And even though I prefer the Aegir more than the Friesland, I decided to get the Friesland a shot. So what is the Friesland all about? Well, it's unique in that it's the only destroyer in the game that doesn't have torpedoes. The other reason that I like the Friesland is that this is a Cold War era ship. It's built around 1950, so right in the beginning of the Cold War, I wanted to get some Cold War ships in my port. I mean, the other options would have been what? The Russian navies. They have a lot of Cold War ships out on their higher tier tech tree. For the Americans, I mean, if you consider some of them, I think some of them, maybe the Worcester or the Des Moines, you can consider those Cold War ship, but I feel like it's late World War II. Like, they're just right before the end of the war. They could have participated if the war dragged on even longer. The expectation of World War II was supposed to be longer, I believe. Maybe go all the way to the early 50s, but it did end early. I wouldn't say end early, it was a long war, but it ended earlier than expected from what people speculated at the time. So, Friesland, yeah, no torpedoes, all about the guns. She got 2 turrets. Each turret is equipped with dual 120mm guns, and these guns are made by Beaufort. High rate of fire, and that is the price you pay for not having any torpedoes. Is this the best ship when it comes to DPS at tier 9 compared to other destroyers I have seen? I own the Kitakaze. I think the Kitakaze pull off a higher DPS than the Friesland, but it doesn't mean that the Friesland can't do well, even though it doesn't have torpedoes like the Kitakaze, and it can't pull out the same firepower like the Kitakaze. And the reason why is really comes down to her utility. She has American duration smoke. She has defensive fire. Mind you, the Friesland has the best anti-air at this tier. I think she probably has the best anti-air as a destroyer if you really spec her for anti-air. Without even specing her anti-air is just nasty against tier 8 carriers and tier 10. Tier 8, I feel to the point that they can barely touch the Friesland as long as somebody else doesn't HE spam and knock out most of my AA. But the main reason why the AA is strong is the defensive fire lasts for a while, and the guns, the main armaments, is the primary reason why the AA is strong. We're talking about Cold War era weapon here. So these 120mm do a lot of flak damage against planes. So the best way I can describe the ship is that since these guns are made by Beauforts, and there's 4 of them, I feel that these are the quad Beauforts, the upgraded version of the quad Beauforts from the 40mm for anti-air and translate it to surface ship quad Beauforts. That's how I feel. It's just nothing but just shells flying in the sky, just like the quad Beauforts against the Japanese planes. As you're witnessing right now, I am putting that a lot of firepower, non-stop rainbow of HE. Now the penetration, it's 120mm. I don't know what to expect from them. If you play with any destroyer with 128mm, 120, any in this range, you expect that the only place you can actually penetrate on the battleship is the superstructure. For cruisers, it really depends. Some cruisers have light enough armor that you can actually penetrate the belt armor. But most heavy cruisers, you're going to have to shoot the superstructure also. IFHE, I haven't really keep up with IFHE since the rework. And the last time I checked is that if you equip IFHE with a certain caliber gun, I think 128, you can only penetrate 31mm, which is a nerf because before you can penetrate 32 or 33. 32mm of armor is the golden number for any gun in this game to penetrate when it comes to your guns, because 32mm is a very common threshold for important, I wouldn't say important part, but for majority of the ships that you find at this tier, especially when you're using AP, of course, pertaining to battleship. But since we're talking about destroyer, our concern is 32mm, can we overmatch that with our HE? And in the case of the Friesland, I don't think so, even with IFHE. But the thing about the Friesland, with this higher rate of fire, you want to build this ship all around her guns, and you want to boost that fire chance, because as you might have noticed, I set a lot of fires with the Friesland once I get into a good position. So over here, the Alaska is coming around the corner. I'm going to try to put down as much HE as possible and set a fire first. So set a fire first. Once you set a fire on a broadside cruiser, switch to AP. It looks like the Alaska just straight up damage control that one fire. Going to try to finish off this Georgia. This Georgia thought she's safe, but nobody's safe from Friesland spamming HE over islands. She definitely has an arc. So for my captain, I have, was it priority target? I have, was it last stand? The second level 2 perk. Level 3, ideally I should have took survivability expert, which gives me more HP. That can boost the Friesland maximum HP to 20,000. But I decided to build this ship glass can to go all out. And the reason why is because I have the American Smoke. I mean, you pair that with American Smoke, and also I forgot to talk about the Hydroacoustic Search, which is something that the Kitakaze does not have, and it's very useful. Because a lot of times, Kitakaze sit in smoke, and they just want to farm damage, but at some point, a Holland, a Shimakaze, a Gearing, or a Fletcher drops torpedoes and takes out the Kitakaze. Considering that the Kitakaze is a long ship, so Hydro is really nice. So we're talking about nice guns with utility from the Germans and smoke from the Americans, and just god tier anti-air. That's quite a package at the cost of torpedoes. Now the other problem with the Friesland is the size. The size of the ship is just big, and the maximum HP at the moment with what you get before you get, if you were to get survivability expert, is 17,600, and that's pretty low for this size of a ship. I was expecting around 19,000 for this type of ship, and I believe the Friesland is based off the tier 10 Holland class. It's just a modified version. So yeah, I have last stand, so if my engine get knocked out or rudder get knocked out, I can use it. My level 3 captain skill is basics of firing training to increase the rate of fire, because I'm really banking on these guns. My level 4, I recommend you get concealment expert first. The only reason why is because sometimes you have to contest the flag, and there have been games where I just get outspotted by destroyers for too long, as in I can't find them, they can see me even without me shooting my guns, because the base concealment is 8.2 kilometers. With the concealment upgrade that you get at the ports, you can bring it down to 7.1 kilometers, and then you pair that with concealment expert, you can bring it down to 6.4 kilometers, which is workable. Not great, not bad, just workable, because Japanese, they got 5.4 kilometers, so you get 1 kilometer to spot them before someone else shoots at you, right? Or the Kagero shoots at you, gets the first shot on you. But yeah, concealment is not that great, and usually Friesland should be just doing gunboat rolls, as in stay in the outskirts and just annoy the crap out of ships like I did. But at times, you have to go into the cap, and there's nothing wrong with going in cap with the Friesland. Just make sure that you don't get rushed by a destroyer, because again, you don't have torpedoes at your disposal, and if a cruiser rushes you, then you're practically screwed unless they show broadside. Friesland AP is nasty. I deleted Royal Navy cruisers, especially with the AP, because with the rate of fire, you can score 20 citadels in 5 seconds. It's just amazing. I had a game where I deleted a Drake when she was like half HP, and she decided to show just when her rudder finished turning the broadside, it was over. Against Italian cruiser, she can rip them apart. She is definitely all about the guns, and it's just really fun to just hold down the trigger and constantly spam the HE. Again, I treat it like a upscale version of the quad Bofors for the anti-air. Instead, for anti-air, I'm using it against ships. And right here, I spot the opposing Friesland. She's gonna smoke up, but I don't think she's gonna get out of this one alive because I can spam enough shells and just guess where she at just to take her out. And right there, she is gone. So yeah, utility, I just get Concealment Expert, and then you might want to get the Advanced Fire and Training. Now the reason I get Advanced Fire and Training to extend the range is because you really need that range. 12.4 kilometers is the base range, and it's not enough to work with because at 12 kilometers, cruisers can get really good shots on you. 13 to 14 kilometers is where they struggle, and sometimes there'll be battleships that are stationary or cruisers stationary behind islands that are roughly around 13 to 14 kilometers. You could get the tier 9 upgrade to boost the range, but I thought that it's better to get the captain's kill because it even boosts it even more, because it boosted by 20% versus the 16% that you get from buying the upgrade, and then just buy the reload upgrade instead to increase the rate of fire on these guns. Again, you're really relying on these guns, just gotta upgrade as much as you can. Then get Advanced Fire and Training, which boosted 20% instead of 16%, and then you got everything. Whereas if you boost the range with the upgrade, you can't really boost the rate of fire as much as you want with the captain skills, because you only got Adrenaline Rush, which is the next gun I'm trying to get, and was a Basic Fire and Training, which I already have. So you really rely on your DPS and fires, because as you notice, this thing set a lot of fires. So right there, the Iowa show significant amount of broadside, and I switched to AP. I tried to start with HE, set fire first, so I got something going on in the background for damage, and then follow it with AP. But it looks like I'm determined to try to take out the Iowa right away with AP. AP on this ship does not overpen destroyers, unlike other destroyers like the Germans or the Americans. I'm not sure about the Germans. The Germans do a lot of damage. I know the American AP overpen, but I'm trying to remember if the Germans overpen. Because I remember that you're better off overpenning with the Germans against destroyers than loading HE. That's what I've been told. And it's been a while since I played my Z52. But yeah, that's what you get on the Friesland. Is just make sure nobody rushes you, because that's the only way you're gonna win against a Friesland. If you're in a battleship, a cruiser, you just rush the Friesland in their smoke, because they can't do much other than maybe low AP and blow you out of the water if you're running a cruiser that is susceptible to her AP. Unfortunately, when I first saw the Friesland, I thought she had radar because she got that giant radar satellite. That's not. It's a satellite dish. I don't know. What's the terminology? I am trying to figure out the right word to describe. But yeah, you get the point. There's that thing rotating in the back of the ship. It's probably the dish. Best way to describe it is dish. But yeah, I thought it would have radar. That is the tier 10 pan-European destroyer, which is the Smallland. I think that's how you pronounce it. Probably not how you pronounce it. But yeah, the 2 million free XP one that has radar, whereas the Friesland has hydro and defensive fire. But yeah, overall, I think she's a fun ship. She made quite a bit of credit for me, and would I say she's the best tier 9 destroyer? I wouldn't say, in terms of the competitively speaking, I would prefer the Kitakaze or a Fletcher, because it's just, she's fun in her own rights. I mean, she's definitely one of the best destroyers to run in randoms, and the reason why is because there can be quite a bit of CVs at randoms. So if you don't like CVs and you want to play destroyer, Friesland is the way to go. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you guys next time on my channel.